Hi, it's been a minute since I've been on this channel. Um, a lot of reasons for that, mainly because I am a fiercely like my attention span for projects is very small. So I will like go super hard with like one hobby and then completely change my trajectory the next moment and go for a different hobby. So I guess that kind of happened with this channel. I was like, yeah, let's make a YouTube channel. And then, like, a month into it, I was like, yeah, let's actually start my music career. So I thought it would be fun today um, because I haven't finished a book. I think I should tell you that is I haven't like properly finished a book. I've skimmed books, but I haven't like properly sat down and read a book all the way through. I've started so many, but I haven't actually finished one in a very long time. Um, and so, in the spirit of that, I thought it'd be fun to go through some of my old writing projects and talk to you guys about the ones that I started, a little bit about their plots, maybe like a little bit about why I didn't finish them, and yeah, I just thought it'd be a fun kind of thing. I'm gonna tell you like kind of the basis of the plot. Um, I don't think that I will go back to any of these stories. Um, so if you want to use some of the ideas, you're more than welcome to. Because what is what is ideas? Ideas. What is ideas? Oh my goodness. What are ideas but regurgitated thoughts that somebody else had that we've taken and put our own spin on? That was very hard for me to do. Anyways, um, I've opened my Google trash docs here, and yeah, I think I'm just gonna go through and we're just gonna look through some of these. I'm not gonna like screen record or anything. I'm just gonna tell you about them, um, because if I do revisit them, I don't want like spoilers or something like that. So the very first one that I have on here, we're actually gonna take it out of the trash so that I can open it and look at it. This was I don't actually know what this was. Oh, this was a novel about time, and it was kind of like a time travel type novel. And the project name was Ad Astra because I wanted it to be like science fiction, kind of time to deal with. And the very first like opening line of it was, "The boy was dead." That's the opening line. Um, but I based it off of this Shakespearean quote that says, "Whereby I see that time is the king of men. He's both their parent and he is their grave, and gives them what he will, not what they crave." I really like that quote, and I think I will probably use that for different projects going forward. But yeah, I just really was fascinated. I'm fascinated by time in general. Um, and so I was like, yeah, let's write a novel about time. Did I have any idea what like a conceivable plot was? No, I just went in and I was like, I want to write about time. And that's precisely why I scrapped that project because I didn't have a cohesive, this is where I want to go with the plot thing. So, yeah, basically. Oh, it's really funny. Um, yeah, so that was the first one. It's called Project Ad Astra. And this one, the file name is literally just chapter one, where the heart lies, the soft storm follows. That's literally the title because I don't. I'm terrible at titles. I always like will like try to title a book once I'm like halfway through it because then I have a better grasp on the story. So until then, I usually just use the auto-generated title that Google Docs makes for me. So this was a Regency novel because let's face it, I watched Bridgerton and I was like, hey, I want to write a Regency romance novel. Um, so this is a Regency romance novel. It's kind of like an enemies to lovers moment. Um, and yeah, it's a little bit kind of inspired by Kate and Anthony. Um, there's a love story between like this duke and somebody who was and this girl who's kind of lower in society. Um, and the first line of this novel was okay. I was really trying to stretch my high school English for this opening line. I was like, "Wicked is the mind the world doesn't understand. Hollow is the heart that never knows kindness, and grim is the dawn of love." That's the opening line. Yeah, for a Regency romance novel, because my brain was like, "Hey, I want to write this as though it is an entire English dissertation on something, as opposed to a fun Regency romance novel." Um, so yeah, that was my second project that was in my trash. Anyways, Ex Umbra. What was Ex Umbra? I'm just like, sorry, this is like the first time I've looked at these in a while. So, Ex Umbra is the next one, and yeah, this was another time novel, or this one, although this one had a more cohesive plot, and then it was using that same Shakespearean quote from the first one, the whereby I see the times the king of men. But this plot was this man essentially sees a photograph of a girl, and it's a reporter, and his boss editor, I think that's what people who are in charge of report, is it an editor? It's not a CEO. I think it's an editor. Essentially, his editor's like, hey, give me a story for this photograph. Like, I don't care what story. You find out what it is. You write this, because essentially their readership was down and the people wanted more personal stories to connect with. And so the editor was like, hey, here's a photograph. Find the story. Write the story. Um, and so he does. He goes and he tries to find the girl, but it kind of turns into this time travel novel, and it's got an elements of like fantasy slash magical realism, um, and of course because it's me, it was a love story. But yeah, this was called Ex Umbra, which translates to out of darkness. Um, and the first line was this. The first line of it was this: let's start with the beginning. It was after all the worst. Oh, things to know about me is I will read all my opening lines. I don't know if I did it for the other two, but I generally like to read my works in an English accent because I think it makes me sound smarter. And no, I will not be taking any questions at this time. But let's start with the beginning. It was after all the worst, though objectively it was better than the haunting rhythm of flames that drowned the walls and the shrieks of 50 fine men turning to ash, and the knowledge that they had volunteered for this. That tells you nothing about the novel. But I really was like, that's the opening line for me. Yes, this is going to perfectly describe my time romance novel. It really is. So, yeah. I can't get over how dark that is. Anyways, moving on. The next one that's in my trash is. I'm trying to look. I have a couple of rom coms in here, because I always think that I like writing rom coms, and then I remembered that I don't like contemporary romance, and then I'm like, I think I'm gonna have to stop that. um, but the next project that I have in here, I think it's actually a fantasy novel. Yes, it was a fantasy novel, and it's about, and this plot was, it's a really, I like writing kind of like A24 style novels. Like, my goal as like a writer is to be like, if A24 had novels, that's the novels that I want to write. um, and so this novel was essentially about this girl, and she's visiting somebody in the city, and she boards this train, um, but before the train can reach the city, she and all of the passengers disappear, and essentially it's like, yeah, it's kind of like they've all vanished, and nobody knows where they went. And then, you know, a couple of hours later, the train pulls into the station, and everybody's back on the train, and they're like, "What happened? What's going on here? What do you mean? What, like, you guys just like vanished for like a hot second? What's going on?" Um, and everyone on the train is essentially like, "I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened." Um, and the main character was this girl named Nina who's on the train, and Nina essentially knows everything that happened, but she's forgotten like everybody else. So the novel kind of focuses on her story of trying to remember what happened. Um, and then the first line of this one was, "It begins with a boy, a train car which never reaches its destination, and a girl." And then because this one really helps if you have context, so I'm going to read the next line as well. "The boy shall be explained in later passages, and the fate of the train car as well, though it is perhaps better if it isn't. But Nina, she is something to be explained now, for she is the crux of this story." I might actually revisit this novel because this novel was really, really fun to write. It had that dissonant sort of nature that was really fun. It was written in I don't know my tenses. In, not tenses, persons. It's either written in present tense with kind of the the reader as its own character. So you as a reader are a character kind of in the novel because the narrator, narrator, narrator. I don't know how to speak words. The narrator will be like, there's moments in the novel where he'll be like, it's almost like that meme, the social media meme of "you should know this too." It's like, and you should know this too. The narrator kind of does that in this book where he'll be explaining something about the characters, and then he'll be like, "You should know this too." And I remember distinctly there's a scene in this book um, that there's something dangerous happening, right? And the narrator of the story essentially kind of yells at the reader, is like, "Stop, he's gonna notice you. Like, stand very still, or he's gonna notice you, and we're both gonna be in trouble." So it's a little bit like you're a character in the story, essentially. So yeah, that was this project was called My Fair Dark Willow Tree. Um, and yeah, it was kind of fantasy. It was very much inspired by Peter Pan, but it was I thought of it more of like Peter Pan with a darker twist to it. So essentially a little bit more like Once Upon a Time's Peter Pan, which is one of the best adaptations of Peter Pan I've ever seen. Like, I don't care if it's not book accurate, okay? Once Upon a Time Peter Pan is one of the best Peter Pans live action that I've seen, okay? Closely followed by Jeremy Sumter. Tied for first. Never mind. Moving on. That's a tangent. Anyways. um, so, yeah, I think those are most of the novels that I have in my trash. I have a couple others, but it's been more than 30 days, and so they've permanently deleted. Um, yeah, and then I have some like poetry and stuff like that, but what's wait, hang on, what's Blue Calico? The day turned with a song. Oh, this was like my Civil War novel. Blue Calico was a Civil War novel that I was trying to write. Um, it didn't end up turning out because it was kind of a darker novel, and I wasn't really doing well at that time, and so I was like, I want to write something happier, so I stopped writing it. Um, but the opening line of this one was, "The day turned with a song, not the lullabies of the house mother nor the croon of the night owl. It was like the grind of wheels against the yellow dirt path, hot and dusty, dry but homely. These words weren't anything special, simple verses, easy to shout, easy to remember, but still, Master outlawed it long ago. He said there was no point in blowing false trumpets. Jericho's walls weren't going anywhere." That's kind of the first paragraph, but it really helps with the context to kind of know what's going on in that story. But anyways, that is some of the to all the What should I title this video? Should I title it To All the Books, To All the Novels That I Never Finished Writing? I think that would be really funny. Um, but yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna edit this video. Um, but yeah, sorry for the long absence. I wish I could say it's not gonna happen again, but it probably will. um, but yeah, I hope you have a lovely day, evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Huh. Anyways, yeah. Also, I've been listening to Evermore by Taylor Swift, like the Evermore album. I need to write a novel that has that same vibe. So, yeah, we'll get back to you on that. Anyways, bye.